What's going on, YouTube fam? Today I got 5 things I wish I knew when I first started lifting. So before we get into the video, I want to take a minute to apologize. I have been pretty inactive lately, but it's because my GoPro files haven't been importing to my computer. If you know anything about that, feel free to contact me. But for now, I'm just recording on my iPhone. I actually just got done with my workout. I smashed a legs workout, so into the video now. I've been lifting for about going on 7 years, and seriously probably about 4. And obviously I'm no expert, but now that I'm in college, now that I've got a couple of years of solid training under my belt, I've ran different programs. I'm learning different methods in school right now. I figured I'd give you my insight on 5 things, the biggest 5 things I wish I knew when I first started lifting. So number 1 is form over weight. Now this one's pretty cliche. You probably heard this in a lot of different videos, but it's true. Sometimes the simplest stuff is the most important stuff. So form over weight, it's mainly an ego thing. Sometimes it's just you're doing it subconsciously, you're not even thinking about it. I know when I first started lifting, I actually hurt my back deadlifting twice. So even if you think you got good form, it's always important to nail your form. Definitely learn proper form before you start lifting when you're a beginner, and when you're an advanced lifter, you can practice perfecting that form when you have lighter days. You know, when you first start a program, maybe the volume's high but the weight is low. Those are the days you really need to focus on form, not just go through the motions. So hopefully these takeaways are important for not only beginner lifters but advanced lifters, because I know my audience ranges from a variety of people. You know, some of you have been lifting for 2 years, some of you have been lifting for 10 years. So hopefully this can help you. So form over weight's the first one. The more you perfect your form, the less you're going to be likely to injure yourself, and the more likely you are to progress in your training. Number 2 is progressive overload. So I always kind of knew this concept, but the more I go to perfect my training, the more I found out that this is a key element in any program. When you're designing a program, most programs, or all programs, have to have progressive overload in it. Progressive overload is a concept where you continuously increase the stimulus to the muscle as you go on in training. So you can do this in a number of ways, but the most common way you guys probably know is just to increase the weight. Unfortunately for us, we can't just keep increasing the weight, otherwise everyone would squat 1,000 pounds, everyone would bench 700 pounds. You know, it'd be amazing, it'd be the perfect world. So you got to find different ways to increase that stimulus. Now it gets more detailed when you actually program, when you actually lay out a program, but a couple of ways to do this are increasing the number of reps, so for example, if you do 225 for 8 times on squat, next week do it for 10 times. Increasing the number of sets, 225 for 3 sets of 8, next week do it for 4 sets of 8. You can decrease the amount of rest time between sets, which I'll get more in depth with later, but this just gives your body less time to recover. Another way would be to increase the amount of volume over the week. So let's say you currently you have a 3-day split, you hit each body part twice. Maybe switch that to a 4, 5, or even a 6-day split, and hit each body part twice. So these are just a couple of ways. I think there's, you know, depending on who you ask, there's a total of, you know, anywhere from 6 to 12 different ways that are very popular in increasing stimulus. But yeah, this is a key element in any program. If you're not progressively overloading, your muscles are just gonna be used to your training. So if you come in and do this, basically if you come in and do the same stuff every day, your muscles aren't really gonna have to work any harder. They know what's coming, and they're not gonna have to grow any more than they're used to, because they just know how to respond to that stimulus. Number 3 is a key factor. Number 3 is proper sleep and nutrition. So this one, I think everybody knows is important. It's just about accountability. When I was in high school, I was a freshman and sophomore. I wanted to be committed. I wanted to be accountable in the weight room. So I was there every morning at 5 o'clock. Most mornings I would get up at 4:30, and I was proud of myself because I made that a commitment. I did it every morning. But what I wasn't doing was getting to bed early enough. So when I look back on that training, I felt like none of that really, obviously I got better, but I could have increased my gains substantially had I been resting more. When you lift, you're tearing microfibers in your muscles. So in order to increase muscle size and strength, you have to rest so that your muscle fibers can repair. If you don't rest, then they're not going to repair at all. So you're pretty much just doing damage. You're going in the wrong direction. So sleep is huge. Believe it or not, I've actually gotten more sleep since I've gotten to college. And that's just a time thing. Obviously, when you're an athlete, especially in high school, in high school and college, it can be really hard to find the time. You got school, you got homework, you got all this stuff going on. But prioritize sleep and you'll notice a difference in your training. The other part of that is nutrition. So nutrition is a whole different asset in itself. I've talked about it in my other videos, but I think nutrition can account for 80% of your progress you see from working out. It's a huge part. Just like sleep, if you're not getting the proper nutrition, your body's not going to grow. Your body needs sleep to grow, but it also needs nutrients to grow. So again, maybe it's because I have food on demand, but this is another thing I've been narrowing down more. If you're trying to lose weight, you have to be in a caloric deficit. If you're trying to gain weight, you have to be in a caloric surplus. So assess your goals. At first, maybe just count your calories. You can do this through MyFitnessPal. Enter in your foods, and that's a pretty good start. That's what I did for probably a year or two, and now I'm looking more at my specific nutrients. So 2 things I definitely check every day is, am I getting enough calories, and am I hitting my protein requirements? So for protein, you want to stick around 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. So for me, I'm eating right around 185, 190 grams of protein a day. So if I check those 2 things off, I'm hitting the right amount of calories and I'm getting my protein. That's pretty good. Now that I want to focus on narrowing in my training, I want to focus on getting healthier. I'm really trying to hit those other nutrients. Am I getting enough vitamin A, B, C? Am I getting enough fiber? Am I getting enough? The list goes on. So that's something you can look into. MyFitnessPal is great because not only does it have a huge food selection, you just have to search what food. You can even scan barcodes, but it also tells you each of your nutrients, the level they're at after you enter in those foods. Now, number 4 is the mind-muscle connection. So a lot of people watching this video might be athletes or powerlifters. Now, this might not apply to you as much, but even if you're trying to build muscle, regardless, this will apply to you. So specifically for bodybuilding, you want to maintain a mind-muscle connection through each exercise. Now, if I can break this down in the simplest terms, it just means don't go through the motions. So you can perform a curl just like that, or you can feel it. You have to feel, you have to maintain a connection in your mind with the muscle. You really have to squeeze. I find focusing on the negative in the movement helps me a lot. If I'm having trouble, some muscles, especially when you first start lifting, it's hard to feel those muscles. So one that was hard for me was my lats. If you can flare out your lats, you can feel your lats. I couldn't even do that when I first started lifting. So when I did a lat pull down, I was basically just moving my arms. Now that I have that mind muscle connection, I flare my lats, pull like with a string. I imagine like a string attached to my elbows. I pull with my elbows, and I'm focusing on that lat, focusing on pulling with my lats. So that's like a mind-muscle connection, as opposed to just pulling with your arms, not really getting much out of the movement. This is crucial. You know, there's been hundreds of studies on this. People that, you know, really focus on mind-muscle connection experience more muscle growth. So once I started really focusing on that, specifically my bodybuilding training, I gained a lot of size. Now the fifth thing I wish I knew when I first started lifting was the importance of rest time. So as you may have noticed in this video, I'm wearing a watch. I got this watch from Amanda Reneker. I actually think it was Adam Reneker's originally, but you know, you don't have to have anything too fancy, just something that can, you know, you could even use a clock, you know, you could use your phone, something to track your rest time. Rest time is crucial. The science of it is, you know, a little bit beyond me, but from what I've researched and from what experienced lifters have told me is that the amount of time you give your body to rest is crucial in two aspects. So let's say you're performing a compound movement. Specifically, powerlifters prefer 3 to 5 minutes. So most people start their workouts with a compound movement. Let's say you're starting with a squat or a bench or a deadlift. You're going to want to allow at least 3 to 5 minutes between each set. It lets your CNS recover, lets your body recover. It gives your body time to recuperate, and even it gives you time to mentally recuperate. You know, sometimes deeper into your training, if you're following a structured program, you know, some weights may intimidate you. Maybe you've never done this much weight for this amount of reps, and it can you can have that mental barrier. So sometimes you need that rest. And on the flip side of that, specifically for bodybuilding, you know, you can relate to this to any accessory movement, but you're going to want to decrease that rest time to right around a minute. You know, some people say 30 seconds, some people say a minute and a half, some people even say 2 minutes. I like around a minute to a minute and a half. It depends on the movement too, or even the workout, the amount of reps, but keep it around a minute, and you'd be surprised at how, when you actually keep track of this, how much time you were taking before this. So, you know, maybe it's just because it's getting harder, you want more rest time, but if you actually, I know at least once I started keeping track, I noticed my rest times were more around 2 minutes, sometimes even 2.5 minutes. So then, now that I keep track, I can look at, oh, it's been a minute, I gotta get going, and basically, this helps a few things. So this allows you to keep the time under tension for the muscles. So let's say you have 3 sets of 12 on an exercise. If you're waiting more than 2 minutes, you might not be able to reap as many of the rewards out of that exercise as if you were waiting, you know, 45 seconds, a minute. It doesn't allow your muscle to recover as much, and you can tear more muscle fibers. You can do more damage to your muscles, in turn allowing them to come back stronger, come back bigger, which is what we all want. So number 5 is rest time, and I think this was one that I'm trying to stay more accountable to right now. So these are 5 things I wish I knew when I first started lifting. I know once I started paying more attention to these things, my training really started to advance. So hopefully you guys can take even one thing from this, even if you can just use this as a reminder. You know, maybe you already knew all this stuff, but watching this video, just put it in the back of your mind, yeah, I do need to pay more attention to sleep, I do need to get more sleep, or you know what, I should really start tracking my calories. So hopefully this video was helpful to some of you. Again, I'm sorry for the inactivity. If I have to record on my phone, I have to record on my phone, but I am going to try and start getting more videos out for you guys. As you can see, I'm in my dorm room. Everything's going great so far. I might make a video on that, but my biggest complaint is probably that there's no air conditioning, so we have like 5 fans in here. But other than that, it's all been good. I have one class right now and a lab later in the year that relate to my major, so I am hoping to use some of that information and give it to you guys. And I find it really interesting. I know it's making me, making my fitness better, so hopefully it can do the same for you. So Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll catch you in my next video. Out.